Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kiki with Quing D. If you are new to the channel, then welcome to the Quing Dome. And if you are not, well then, welcome back. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified on all future updates. Make sure you hit that little bell thing too, because that's what sends the notifications right to you. So, yes, just when you get all that done, I'll be here waiting. Okay? Alright, so now let's get back into the episode. In case you do not know, for all the new people, let me explain Kiki. Kiki is basically just a little series here on my channel where I talk about basically anything. I told myself if Disney won't give me my own show, then bitch, I'll make my own. Okay? So, here on Kiki, the episodes are split into separate segments. If there is a specific segment that interests you, well, you can just go in the description below and you'll see like a little time stamp or whatever, and you can just quickly skip to that segment if you don't feel like watching this whole show, because the episodes get a little long. The description is very important, okay? That has all of the different links and stuff that you may need. Other than the timestamps, the description has the link to my website, the link to my SoundCloud so that you can check out all of my music, including my brand new mixtape, Coronation. It has the links to all of my social media so that you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Snapchat, all of that. So yeah, really make sure that you go in that description. Alright, now let's get into the episode with this first segment being a little thing I like to call, let me tell you how. If you are brand new to Kiki, let me tell you how is a segment basically inspired by what is known on YouTube as Storytimes, where people kind of tell stories about things that happen to them. Only I call it, let me tell you how, because that's usually when I'm having a conversation, I usually start the sentence with, girl, let me tell you how, like that. In this episode, I will be telling the story of how I pretty much scammed this dude for free food. So basically, this guy had been hitting me up on this gay dating app known as Grindr. And he had been hitting me up for the longest time, and every time he would hit me up, I would just straight up tell him I'm not interested. He just wasn't attractive to me at all. He looked like that actor. He looked like Peter Dinklage. I'll put the picture of him right here. He looked just like that dude, and I was like, no, you're just not cute to me. I'm sorry. And he wouldn't take no for an answer. So I'm like, look, out of all the times you've hit me up, you've never bothered to take me out. You've never bothered to buy me food, take me to dinner, something. Because now I'm gonna milk it. I'm like, this dude's obviously desperate. I'm gonna take full advantage of this opportunity. So that's what I did. And he was like, okay, we can go out to eat once I get off of work. So I was like, okay, fine. So I made sure that I looked really bummy. I didn't do my makeup. I didn't fix my hair or anything. I wore any old clothes. I tried to make myself look as unattractive as possible so that he would be like, ooh, no, I don't want him. And we went, I don't know why, but I had a taste for Applebee's. So I was like, let's go to Applebee's, because I had just recently went there and had this little bacon macaroni thing with the little chicken in it or something. I forget what it was called, but whatever it was good, and I wanted some more. So I meet him at the Applebee's, and this dude's really short. I'm not really into short dudes, but this dude was really, really short, and it really sold the whole Peter Dinklage lookalike thing. I was like, whoa, okay. And not only that, but he was quite older than me. He wasn't old, but he was maybe 25, upper 20s. And I'm like, okay. And he wasn't interesting either. He was very dry and just bland. I was like, yup, I see exactly why I just was not interested in you. It was just no, this dude was a flop, okay? So, as we're waiting, because of course when you go to Applebee's, sometimes you gotta wait to get a table. So we're waiting. I'm trying to start conversation, so it's not completely awkward. But all of his answers are just kind of yeah, it's his answers were basically the equivalent of K in a text. like it was that dry, and I was like, are you even interested? I was like, maybe he's not interested, because I did kind of like you know, make myself look a certain way so that he wouldn't be interested. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's working. So as we're sitting there, we finally get our table or whatever. Then he starts asking like me questions or whatever, and he's like, oh, you sound so interesting. I'm like, thanks. I'm like, I wish I could say the same about you. All tea, no shade. Well, all tea, all shade. But yeah, it was just like, the whole date was just kind of awkward. So I finally get my food, and I'm like, at this point I took out my phone and I started watching my show, because shit, I'm not about to sit here on this awkward ass date and look at your face the whole time. I'm gonna watch my show. So I pulled up the little Xfinity app and watching my show on my phone, and he's still trying to talk to me. So I'm like, the whole time I'm sitting there like, huh? And he's like talking. I'm like, and I still got my headphones, and I'm pretending like I'm listening to him. I'm like, and meanwhile I'm just like watching the show. So you know, I'm really skinny, so I get full quickly. So, you know, I had my little to-go plate, and I was like, well, I'm ready to go when you are. And he was like, okay. And like, even as we left, like, I didn't give him no hug, no nothing. I was like, I got my food. This gonna last me for tomorrow. I got me some leftovers. I'm like, I'm good. And he even said, like, before we parted ways, he was like, yeah, even though, you know, we just kind of met for food, like, this was fun. I was like, did he just try to call me out? I'm like, okay. I was like, all right, bye, you know, see you maybe sometime, I don't know. And as I was walking away, I instantly opened Grindr and I hit block. That concludes that story and wraps up this segment of Let Me Tell You How. So now we're going to get into this next segment, which I like to call Bops of the Week. Now, in a normal episode of Kiki, I would give you guys my top 10 Bops of the Week, which is basically, you know, my top 10 songs that I've been listening to throughout the week or whatever. But we're going to do something a little different in this episode, because editing Bops of the Week is really just tiresome and is very cumbersome, when really I can just give you guys the links and y'all can see all the bops for yourselves. So that's what we're gonna do. So the normal links to my playlists are still down in the description. I won't be listing all of the bops one by one like usually, but you can still go and listen to the updated Bops of the Week playlists. There's a playlist for Apple Music, Spotify, and Tidal. Whatever you use, it's there. Instead of giving you guys my top 10 bops, instead I'm going to be giving you guys my most anticipated upcoming releases. No top 10 or nothing like that, no particular order. Just, well, actually, there is a particular order. They're in order of release date. So my most anticipated upcoming releases in order of when they will be released. So excuse me if I'm looking at my phone, but my phone is what has everything on it. So first up, this is probably my most anticipated release. If this was in order from most to least, this would be at the top anyways. But it is Nicki Minaj's Quing, which she announced at the Met Gala will be coming out on Friday, June 15th, which also happens to be the same day Incredibles 2 is coming out in theaters. And it is the same day as the next artist on this list, Christina Aguilera. Her album Liberation will also be coming out that same Friday, June 15th. So next up on this list, which I talked about in the previous episode of Kiki, Teyana Taylor's new album, which is called The Misunderstanding of Teyana Taylor. And her album is supposed to be coming out June 22nd. The next album on this list is definitely an album that I have been anticipating for the longest time, since the last album, and it is Miss Ariana Grande's new album, which she just recently announced is going to be titled Sweetener. Yeah. Ariana Grande's new, her fourth studio album, Sweetener, will be coming out in July 20th to be exact. So next up on this list, I have probably the one male rapper that I actually like, and it is Drake. And his new album, Scorpion, should be releasing June the 28th. Now, his last album was a little bit of a letdown for me. It was just far too long, and it didn't have as many bops as Views did. Views is probably my favorite Drake album so far, because even though that was long, it had way more bops than the last one did. What was it called? More Life or something like that? I don't know. Whatever it was called, it wasn't as much of a bop as Views was. So, yeah. Last on this list, I have Miss Iggy Azalea with her album, which It was originally called Digital Distortion, but she just recently renamed it to Surviving the Summer. And it's supposed to be coming out June 30th. Okay? It was supposed to be coming out, but back when it was called Digital Distortion, it was supposed to be coming out like June 2nd or something like that. But then she said that her label made her push it back to June 30th, and then she renamed it to Surviving the Summer. So, yeah. Alright, so next up on this episode of Bops of the Week, I'm going to be just doing something totally different. And I'm going to be discussing the Billboard Music Awards, because I am definitely looking forward to that, okay? So, the Billboard Music Awards happens every year. You know, it's always something iconic that goes down at these award shows. And this year is going to be hosted by Kelly Clarkson. I don't necessarily particularly, care for. It's like Kelly Clarkson, okay, whatever. But what I care about is, of course, the performances. I feel like nobody watches these shows for the awards. They watch it for the performances. And who's opening up this show? Miss Ariana Grande herself. And I'm pretty sure she's going to be performing her song No Tears Left to Cry, because that's like her most recent single from her upcoming album. So definitely looking forward to that. After seeing that video, I can only imagine how the performance itself is going to be. It's going to be epic. I'm not sure about the order of these performances, but I did do a little research and looked up who was performing. And my main idol, Miss Janet Jackson, she's not only receiving the Icon Award, but she will also be performing, which this will be her first time performing on like live TV in like forever. I think somebody said it was like 9 years or something like that. I don't know, but it's been a long time, and she's finally coming back to the stage, so I cannot wait for this. And then next up, Miss Salt and Pepper are also going to be performing. I don't think I've seen them live in like a long time, but not only are they performing, but they're also performing with legendary girl group In Vogue. So they better do What a Man, or like they gotta be doing What a Man. That's like their song together. So hopefully, and then hopefully like In Vogue they'll do Free Your Mind, because that's my shit. Or My Lovin', Never Gonna Get It, because that's also my shit. But Salt and Pepper, they better do Push It. They better do Shoot. Like this is gonna be lit. The award show is gonna be lit. So when I first heard that Christina Aguilera was performing, I was like, good, she's gonna do Accelerate, it's gonna be a bop, boom. But then I heard she was performing with Demi Lovato, and I'm like, okay, they must have a song together or something, which they do. It just recently came out, and it's called Fall in Line. And I listened to it, and it's just really slow. One of those like slow girl power anthems, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be one of those performances. Okay. So I know they'll kill it because they're both really strong vocalists, but this isn't one of those performances that's gonna make me get up and get hyped. This is gonna be like, okay, girl power. So Shawn Mendes is also supposed to be performing. He was one of the first performers to be announced, and he's supposed to be performing his new single, In My Blood, which I haven't listened to yet, so I'm gonna listen to that after I finish filming this. But it's called In My Blood, and it's currently in the top 50 on the Billboard charts, so that's what he's gonna be performing. And then Miss Camila Cabello will also be performing again, because she performed last year, and when she performed last year, she did I Have Questions and Crying in the Club. Yeah, so now that her album, her first self-titled album is called Camila. Now that it is out, she is supposed to be doing 2 of her songs that are currently in the charts, which are Never Be the Same and Havana. They're both in the top 20. So, yeah, I feel like everybody, like I like Havana, but I feel like she has performed that song so many times. Like this, I'm not even like looking forward to this. It's just like, okay, here we go, Havana again. And then Never Be the Same is so slow. It's like, okay, all right, so she'll probably open with Never Be the Same, have like, her ballad moment, and then it'll pick up, and then she'll call out some dancers, do Havana, basically mirroring what she did last year, just with 2 different songs. Which I feel like is a waste. She should have did 2 other songs from off the album, but I get it. These are the songs that are on the charts, so oh well. And then we have Miss Dua Lipa, and she is supposed to be doing her song New Rules, which is still on the charts. It is on the charts at, well, it's in the top 30. I think it's at number 27, but I know it's in the top 30. So see, with new rules, even though like that song's kind of played out at this point, I haven't seen a lot of performances by her like doing it, so this should be interesting. And then we have BTS. They are releasing a new album. I forget what it's called, but they are releasing a new album, and they are debuting a new single at the Billboard Music Awards. So whenever I've seen them perform live, like it's been like lit. I haven't listened to their music. I've been meaning to listen to their music, but their live performances are always lit. So I expect nothing less from this one, especially since it's a new single. They better bring it. So that wraps it up for this segment of Bops of the Week. Wasn't your typical Bops of the Week, but like I said, you can find my playlist with my top 10 Bops of the Week down in the description below. The Apple Music playlist is basically what I listen to on the regular. And then the Spotify playlist contains all of my top 10 bops, like my new bops. Because in my Apple Music playlist, you know, I just kind of add new bops as they go. But the bops from the last episode they are still in there. Because if I still like them, I'm still going to listen to them. But the Spotify playlist just contains the new bops, just the top 10 bops. And then I also have the Tidal playlist with the same thing, with just the top 10 bops. But I'm also gonna include my Tidal playlist that is basically just like the Apple Music playlist, you know, what I listen to every day, because my Apple Music is being cut off because I have not paid Apple, so yeah. they cutting me off. So I have a Tidal playlist that is replacing the Apple Music playlist because Apple cutting me off. So, like I said, that concludes this segment of Bops of the Week. All right, so now we're going to get into this next segment, which is probably one of the more popular segments here on Kiki, which I like to call Fresh Brew, where I bring you guys the hottest pop culture tea flavored with celebrity gossip and other pop culture news. So, there has been a lot going on since the last episode of Kiki, and it would have just it took me forever to break down all of this, so I'm gonna kind of speed run through some of this stuff so that we can get through this. So first up, Katy Perry has officially ended her feud with Taylor Swift. About time. So Katy Perry ended her feud with Taylor Swift by sending her an actual, authentic olive branch with a handwritten note, and then like she was basically like apologizing, you know, saying, you know, let's basically end this shit because it's been going on for way too long and it's been blown out of proportion. But then Katy Perry kind of got a little bit upset with Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift shared the olive branch and the note, like the whole thing, on Snapchat. And Katy kind of wanted it to be like a private thing or whatever, and she was kind of mad that Taylor shared it with the world. Which, Katy Perry, if you wanted it to be a private thing, you should have just went to her in person and apologized rather than doing all of that. But whatever, so I don't think the feud is back on, but she was a little butthurt about it. Whatever. Next up, Ariana Grande and Mac Miller have decided to end their relationship because of their busy work schedules. Apparently, they're both busy with their music and they just can't really find time to spend time with each other anymore. So they calling it quits. Oh well. So next up we have Kylie Jenner and her bodyguard. Her bodyguard has officially shut down all the rumors claiming that he is the true father of Kylie Jenner's baby Stormi, because when pictures of baby Stormi first surfaced, everybody was saying, oh, she looks just like her bodyguard. She doesn't look anything like Travis Scott, which I'm not even gonna lie, that baby do look like the bodyguard. His name is Tim Chung. Her bodyguard, Tim Chung. So he put a post on, I believe it was Instagram, basically saying he's not the father, his relationship with Kylie and the rest of the Jenners is strictly professional, yada yada yada, and he was like, this is his first and final statement on the matter. So, oh well, which, hey, all power to you. Oh yeah, and then Kris Jenner also wants Travis to get a paternity test to kind of prove that he even is the father of Kylie's baby. Sounds like Kris is even a little skeptical about who the baby daddy is. Next up, probably the biggest story in this Fresh Brew segment, Cardi B and Azealia Banks everybody knows about the beef. Like, at first I was going to go into all the details of all the screenshots and everything, but at this point, I'm pretty sure you all have seen it. I don't even need to waste my time with it. Cardi B and Azealia, they got into this whole feud. You know, Azealia, she did an interview and she said that Cardi B was basically a caricature of a black woman. And then Cardi B fired back because, you know, Cardi B ain't gonna hold her tongue about nothing. And then Azealia, like how she always does, she fired back. And after all of the commotion, Cardi B eventually just deleted her Instagram. She said, "Fuck this, I'm done." Which, all power to her. Cardi shouldn't have said anything in the first place. It's Azealia Banks. You know, Azealia she's not gonna stop till she gets the last word. So if I was Cardi, I would have just left it alone. Or shit, I'd have waited till I had the baby and then met that hoe in the street. That would have been something. But speaking of meeting hoes in the street, shortly after all that went down, Cardi got into an altercation with a fan because a fan was mad at Cardi because she couldn't get a picture. And I mean, the fan was kind of wrong because you can't make somebody take a picture with you. And the lady is pregnant. Why is everybody trying to come for Cardi now she's pregnant? I swear. And the final story on this list. So a woman is suing Chris Brown for allegedly being raped at his house multiple times. This is a long story too. So apparently she was at, I'm going to try to wrap this story up as quickly as I can. So apparently she was at a recording session with Chris Brown and his posse or whatever. They took their phones and they told the women, "Wait, if y'all want y'all phones back, then y'all have to come to the after party at the house." So then they went to the house, and once they got to the house, they still weren't allowed to get their phones back, and they were told that if they want their phones back, then they have to come to the room or whatever. And once they got to the room, Chris Brown and some other guy, somebody in his crew, whatever, they blocked the door with a couch. And then they made the women give them all oral sex. And then once they were finally let out of the room, she asked the guy in Chris Brown's like entourage or whatever, because she had her phone back now. And he said, "Yeah, but you gotta come to the basement to get it." And when she got to the basement, she was allegedly raped again. And then while that was all going down, her mom, she was like kind of tracking her daughter's phone, and she hadn't heard from her daughter in a minute, so she called the cops and sent the cops to Chris Brown's house. And when the cops got there, Chris Brown wouldn't let them through the door, so the cops left. Which, the cops, I swear, the cops left. And then when the girl was finally let go, when she was finally allowed to leave the house, she immediately went to the rape center or whatever nearby, and she reported it, and now she is suing Chris Brown. And from what I know, so far they haven't, he's kind of going untouched. Like, nothing is being done about this, as far as I know. Yeah. So that wraps up this segment of Fresh Brew. Ooh, the tea in this episode today. I'm so mad I don't got my cup, because bitch, it'd probably be empty by this point. But now we are going to move on to the next segment. Now we're going to get into this next segment, which I like to call Scream Quing, where I basically just talk about movies, TV shows, and topics usually include like upcoming releases, fan speculations, predictions, top 10s, all of the above. You know, anything involving movies and TV shows. In this episode, I'm going to be discussing like a few announcements that have been released recently. First of which, Netflix has gained the rights to a new Stephen King film, and it is called In the Tall Grass. Now, for people who don't know Stephen King, he's like a horror icon. And I'm not really sure what this film is about, but I'm pretty sure it's based off of one of his books, because all of his movies are based off of his books. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that because I love horror movies. So, Avatar 2, which people have been waiting for forever. And it seems like we're going to be waiting even longer because apparently it's not coming out until Christmas of 2020. That's like 2 years from now. But yeah, Christmas 2020. But you know, that should be a fun Christmas gift, you know, going to go see Avatar 2. My birthday is Christmas Eve, so that would be a little, you know, birthday surprise present thing or whatever. Anyway, so last but not least, Jordan Peele has announced that he is currently working on a new horror movie. In case you don't know, Jordan Peele is the creator of Get Out, one of last year's like most like popular horror films or whatever. This new movie that Jordan Peele is working on is called Us. He recently shared the poster to it, and in the poster is just the title and then like kind of like two silhouettes. Sources say that the movie could be starring I can never pronounce her name. Lupita Nyong'o. I hope I'm saying that right, but she was in Black Panther. In case you don't know who she is, she was the princess in Black Panther, not the sister, the other one. Another actress named Elizabeth Moss. I don't know who she is. And Winston Duke. Winston Duke, that is the guy. He was also in Black Panther. He was the king of the Jabari tribe, the mountain people. That guy, Winston Duke. So that wraps up this very short segment of Screen Queen. This is probably the shortest segment of Screen Queen ever. But yeah. So, speaking of Screen Queen, before I wrap this up, I just recently released sort of like a Kiki extra where I gave Screen Queen kind of like its own video. You know, it's still part of the Kiki series because Screen Queen is a segment from Kiki. But it has its own topic video where my sisters and I discussed Disney versus DreamWorks, where we took 10 Disney and DreamWorks movies that are often compared to be similar, and we watched them and we gave our thoughts and opinions on which one we thought was better, the Disney Pixar movie or the DreamWorks movie. So be sure to check that video out because it is funny as hell. It's hilarious. You kind of get to see the banter between me and my sisters. Yeah, it's definitely worth watching, so make sure you check that out. The link to that will also be in the description, but that video is also in the Kiki playlist, so it'll probably play right after this video, depending on where you're watching this video. So yeah, alright, so that concludes this segment of Screen Queen, and on to the final one. Alright, now we're going to get into this final segment, which I call What's Next? Now, What's Next is basically an entire segment simply for my own self-promotion. Sorry, not sorry. This is where I basically let you guys in on upcoming projects that I'm currently working on. Many of these projects I often announce secretly beforehand, like before ever announcing it on social media or anything. I post them on my website, which is another reason why you should check my website often. The link to that is also down in the description. First project on this list is my new miniseries, which I call Coronation Breakdown, where I basically take the tracks in my mixtape Coronation and I break them down one by one, telling you guys the backstory, a little more insight on the lyrics, everything you need to know about the song itself. The first 3 episodes of this series are currently out now. Those 3 episodes being Bow Down to the Queen, Hit the Floor, and Lil Booty. So be sure to check down the Coronation Breakdown playlist to watch all of those. And episode 4 should be coming out very soon. Oh, so next up, okay, so for people who don't know me personally, for you guys, not only do I do film, not only do I do cinematography and music and dance and act, but I also write a little bit. In the very first episode of Kiki, I announced that I was working on another sequel to my short story series, Obsessed. I'm going to announce today that not only am I working on Obsessed, but I'm also working on 2 other brand new series. One of them being a series that I call The Minority, and the other being a series that I call Detached. I actually put these up on my website like a couple days ago. So if you actually do check my website, then you already know about these. But for those who are brand new, I will give you guys a little description on both of them. So starting with The Minority. The Minority are a secret society of minorities with talents and skills ranging from world-renowned artists to highly intelligent scientists. Their goal is to change the world one individual at a time by turning the oppressed into the oppressors, taking minorities who could make a difference and launching them into success, but at a cost. This series follows individuals who are faced with life-changing decisions with the aid of the Minority. Whether they accept the cost and join the collective is up to their personal morals. So, yeah. So the Minority is kind of like kind of like a little parody of the Illuminati, obviously, but with all minorities. And these people, they basically come in and they approach people who could make a major difference in the world, but they only help them if they're willing to accept the consequences of their help. Everything comes with a price. The question is whether you're willing to pay it. So yeah, whether they accept those prices is up to their, how they are, their personal morals, So the other story that I'm working on is called Detached, and I will give you guys the description on that right now. In this future, humans are born with detachable body parts. People are able to buy and sell new augmentations to make their body fit their personal desires and needs. This series follows characters who take advantage of their options, but not always for the best. So yeah, so in this series, you will meet like different characters, and in this world, like you are born kind of like a doll, but a doll that can be, changed and accessorized. Like if I wanted to get a new arm, that I could just go and buy a new arm and then boom, be buff, So in the series, you kind of get to see what people do with this, option to just augment their body the way that they do. It's like you can, for real, you can kind of do this now. Like if you were to chop your arm off and get a prosthetic arm, but it's just kind of like your body is born able to do it naturally rather than how it is now, Yeah. So then, last but not least, on this segment of what's next, like I said before, I'm also working on a new mixtape. And that mixtape, the title is still in the works, but I'm currently calling it Just Sinful. And the whole mixtape is going to be based on the 7 deadly sins, with each track representing a different sin. So, I don't know, I'm trying to do something a little more artsy. Yeah, I'm also working on that along with the 3 stories, and Kiki as well. So what would help a lot is if you guys could comment down below what I should put into priority, which you guys would like to see / hear first, between Obsessed Part 3, The Minority, Detached, and the Just Sinful mixtape. What out of the 4 should I work on and get out to you guys first? What are you the most interested in? If you want more details on all 4 of these projects, then you can check my website. Only thing that's not up there yet is Just Sinful, because I don't have an album cover for it yet because the title was still in the works. So if you guys have suggestions for titles, also put that in the comments too. Like I said, it's based on the 7 deadly sins, so there goes your theme right there. So help me out. But yeah, that concludes this episode of Kiki with Quing D. I think I'm losing my voice. Thank you all for watching. Like I said before, make sure that you look down in the description for all the links you need, including my social media, my website, my mixtape, everything. Everything you need is down there in the description. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Share this video with everyone you know, because all the interactions with these videos help. I'm trying to make my way up to monetization so that I'm not just doing this for nothing. Thank you all for watching, and make sure you tune in next time on the next episode of Kiki with Quing D.